Hi, my name is Fletcher Wimbush. I'm the CEO of Discovered, a performance hiring software platform. Today, I want to talk to you about the significant issues around wage inflation that we're seeing and a little bit about inflation in general. Obviously, it's a big issue and it's affecting businesses all over the world, frankly, but it's also affecting our workers. And because the talent market is so tight, the latest survey that just came out here recently in April and May of 2022 is there's 5 million more jobs available than there are workers. There's something like a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 jobs available for every 1 worker. It's a huge differential. And in some of my other videos, we've talked about why. I mean, a couple of the basics are, we've seen huge numbers of people dropping out of the workforce, particularly the 55 and up crowd and women, college educated women, some of the best workers on both sides of that talent pool. One of the things we need to start thinking about, though, is this wage inflation. And generally, rule of thumb, and you can look at this for your sector or your job type, but particularly at the bottom of the funnel, the people in the frontline workers there, you're seeing at least a 20% increase. Fast food restaurants are going up from $15 to $19 an hour, or $17 to $20. So it is a huge increase in what workers are getting. Now, in some cases, on the mid to higher end, it's maybe not quite as high as that 20% number, but it is substantial. However, in some cases, it's not keeping up with inflation. We're going to continue to see wage increases occur. And it's also a big part of this whole great resignation component. So there are a bunch of different things that you need to be thinking about. First and foremost is raising your prices. It's going to be pretty difficult for anybody in business today to get away from the inflationary effects that increased wages are going to have on their business. The more people you have, the harder this is going to be, because you can't just bring people in at this new higher rate. You're going to have to address your current workforce, A, to keep them, but B, as you start to bring in new people at a higher rate, you got to be competitive with those folks, because they're going to find out that somebody else is getting paid 20% more than they are real fast. There's no hiding this stuff. You're going to have to come up with a plan on how you're going to be able to systematically and as quickly as possible increase the wages for your existing workforce. And you have hundreds or thousands of people in your workforce. That's going to be a big bill to foot, right? But it's going to be a necessary one. If you start losing your people, you're going to be unable to fulfill the products and services your customers are buying for you, and that's going to be an even bigger problem. So it's a tough thing. I really want to talk about what this means moving forward from a talent acquisition and a recruiting and a hiring perspective. It ultimately means we need to get better at how we attract, recruit, and evaluate candidates in the hiring process. We're going to either find ourselves being so desperate, which definitely seeing people doing this now, that they're just hiring any warm body. But the problem with that is you get somebody in who's not actually all that effective, and they actually do more harm than good. So they come in, you spend time training them, they make mistakes, they ultimately have to be let go, redeployed to another workforce, or they quit because they don't like the job. I mean, whatever the reason they turn over, it's a huge cost. Roughly, you're looking at anywhere from a 1-to-1 ratio to a 3x what you pay that person is what it's going to cost you to turn them over. And that's mainly due to those opportunity costs we talked about in some of our other videos. So it's a huge, huge problem to just settle. We need to get sharper at attracting talent, so we need to get better at marketing and selling our opportunities. We have to be competitive with the compensation. Oh, by the way, competitive is not average. Average means you're in the middle of the pack. So you're not going to attract A players if you're just average. Average is like an F if you were in grade school again, right? 50%, that's below a D, it's an F, right? So you got to get above all of that in order to be really having an attractive offering. And I know that's painful, but we need to be thinking about our talent acquisition strategically and what that means for our business, our pricing, how we're going to approach the marketplace. The cost of having a great person who can stick around, or the value of that, far outweighs all of the costs of turning them over, having the wrong people who upset your customers, don't get the work done properly, who are ultimately costing you more money than they're worth, right? We got to get sharper on how we evaluate them. So once we've addressed the sales and marketing piece that we talk about with the 3 C's and how we attract and all the different channels and things and the messaging that we do, I definitely would encourage you to check out our videos on how we attract folks. But we need to use the best practices to evaluate candidates. And that's really our 7-day, 5-step candidate evaluation process. So it starts with a really powerful first interview where right off the bat, we're getting to facts about that person's previous performance. So we're digging into references and we're digging into significant achievements, and we're being really curious about how they did those things in their most recent work history. That really sets the tone for everything else that we're doing. It sets that true serum. It gets us the information we need to know immediately to start filling out our candidate scorecard to make sure that we're on the right path. Second, we need to sell the candidates on completing assessments. And ideally, we want these to be a robust set of assessments that measure the whole person. So their behaviors, otherwise known as personality, their aptitude, their core aptitude to be successful, any really particular skill sets that we need to measure, but most importantly, their culture fit. Are they going to be a good team player, or are they going to become a problem generator, or worse, a talented terror? Can't get rid of those talented terrors there. They seem too valuable to us, right? So we want to be able to get that done. That really speeds up the process. We've learned a bunch of facts about the person in our first power interview. We've got a really robust assessment. Now we can begin to make a really confident hiring decision. But we still want to get through that in-depth meeting and assessment or interview to help fill in the blanks on anything that's remaining on our candidate scorecard that are still kind of unknowns or question marks, plus to gather any remaining references from previous supervisors. But that's an hour to 2-hour interview, depending on the type of person. And we're going to follow that career history style interview. We're going to use targeted behavioral-based interview questions, as well as our reference and significant achievement questions, all coupled with our art of being curious. We need to get good at that structured interview, the in-depth version, so that we can have a ton of clarity. So that's 3 steps. The first phone screening interview we can do in 30 minutes, an assessment that the candidate does before the career history, which can be done very quickly. We get the first interview done, they get the assessments done a couple days later. So all within the first week of meeting this person, we've gotten through these 3 steps. Also, we're beginning to get references. Those should happen almost instantly during and after that first career history interview. Automated reference checking tools like the ones we offer on our Discovered hiring platform are great and really awesome for some of those maybe lower level roles. Otherwise, our key executives or higher level, more sophisticated roles, we're going to have them set those references up for us. And again, that's going to really accelerate that process. We're going to get those references checked within a couple of days in most cases. And lastly, we're going to get into that working interview. So I could theoretically do this in 1 week. On Monday, I could have the first interview. Tuesday, I could have the assessment. Wednesday, I could do the in-depth interview. And I schedule it out that way, by the way, with the candidate from the beginning. We bail out of that process at any point if we need to. But we've done a thorough job. We've really understood the whole candidate, their behaviors, their aptitude, their skills, all through evaluating their accomplishments, using assessments, checking their references, and most importantly, whether they're going to be a culture fit through assessments, interviews, and that working interview, which is really powerful for. So as you face severe wage inflation, let's recap. 1, you got to get out ahead of it with your current workforce. You got to get out ahead of it with your customers and your pricing. And most importantly, you got to have a talent evaluation strategy and acquisition strategy that's going to bring you great people and help you make confident, predictive hiring decisions. If this was helpful, please subscribe, like, share this with your friends, comment Love to have a conversation with you about this. You might have questions about some of the things we talked about. And stay tuned for our next videos. Thank you.